host with the most. I do not brag or boast, and I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One. Welcome, welcome, welcome all. All right. So let's get some little light in the subject. Yeah, damn. Boy, looking kind of dark, a little crispy up in this piece. All right, that's on. Yeah, that's the best we gonna be able to do. All right. Maybe it's my setup. I don't know. But how y'all living? I'm living swell. Let me get set up real quick. While I'm getting set up real quick, feel free to hit the subscription button, the notification bell. Share this with your friends, family, as well as your followers. Let's get this. Let's get this YouTube channel lit in the YouTube algorithm. You heard me? Now, while I'm over here, man, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach the 10K platform, the 10K mark. I really do appreciate that if y'all do that to hook your boy up. And I really do appreciate everyone that have already subscribed to the channel. I appreciate everyone that done hit the like button, shared it with your friends, family, as well as your followers. Hey, yo. So hold up, we're about to get into it. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Get into it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Now, for some strange reason, I don't know why it's doing that. Don't know why it's doing that. So, Gia, let's can we change that? Guess we can't change that. Well, it is what it is. All right. So yeah, let me see if I can change the brightness on my yeah, it looks a little bit better. Looks a little bit better, but I don't understand why it's doing that. All right. All right, that's a little bit better. All right. So yeah, what up, what up, what up, what up? Okay, I really do appreciate everyone that done subscribe to the channel. Yeah, that looks a little better. That looks a little bit crispier. It looks a little bit crispier. So what we're gonna be talking about, all right? We're gonna be talking about P to the Diddy. I've been, monitoring the courtroom proceedings. I've been in and out. I haven't heavily devoted a lot of time. I've been reading a lot of news clips, been checking out people's content concerning the Diddy, Cassidy Diddy, and the government. It's the government versus it's the United States versus Diddy. Now, I think Diddy's going to go to jail after, you know, going into the testimony, going into the articles, going about what people are saying, that's inside the courtroom, that's outside the courtroom. I came to the conclusion, what's up, Juan? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Right? Hope you're having a well-productive Wednesday, okay? But yeah, anywho, I've been checking everything out. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Diddy going to jail. Diddy going to jail, okay? Diddy's going to jail, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it's not because he's being charged for trafficking. He's being charged with a RICO. He's being charged for those incidents. And I don't think, they without a shadow of a doubt, prove that he's guilty of those things. And clearly, their strategy is to shock people, to shock and awe people about Diddy, about Diddy's behavior, about how Diddy is a very conniving individual. Diddy is he's this way image-wise, but behind the camera, he's a completely different person. How Diddy's despicable. They're throwing out the swinger lifestyle. What's up, Tristan? How you doing, Tristan? I can't say your last name. You trying to trick me. You trying to do some time trickery with your boy. What's wrong with Diddy? Did he do something to Justin Bieber? Billy Bob? I don't think. And speaking of your boy Justin Bieber, Justin Bieber has been going through some things. Okay, he's running through water. I mean, he's running through money like it's nothing, like it's water. Um, Give me a rundown. Okay, Billy Bob, I'm about to give you the rundown. Polly Blunt, yeah. Alonzo, hey y'all, hey y'all, oh. Anyway, so this is okay. Let me get into back to what I came to talk about. I'll read the rest of y'all comments a little bit later. So yeah, Diddy's going to be he's going to jail. He's not going to go to jail because of X trafficking. He's not going to go to jail because of they established without a doubt that he should be charged with a RICO. He's not even going to be charged with domestic violence. That's not even on the. That's not what they're going to charge him for. Because that video, let alone, uh, shows that Diddy was a very abusive to Cassidy. Okay, there's no way Diddy and his team can talk themselves out of that matter. But the U.S. government is not the federal government. They're not even using that. They're going to show it in the courtroom. But like I said earlier, they're shocking and awing all of us and the 12 jurors that Diddy's despicable. He's a swinger. Diddy did some foul things to Cassidy, sex wise, this, that, and the third, with some other girls that he done had relationships with. You know, Diddy is going to go to jail, but he's going to go to jail for those reasons. He's not going to go to jail because I don't think they shown the trafficking matter, the ex trafficking matter, where he's moving Cassidy across state lines or moving women across state lines for business purposes. Like pimps and prostitutes. Pimps would push their prostitutes from city to city, force them to go out there on whatever whatever street, on whatever corner. That will be considered ex trafficking. But what Diddy is doing is these parties, they're utilizing these parties as he's using this. This is how Diddy created his empire. That's basically what they're saying. I'm gonna read y'all comments in a little bit later. But they're not gonna prove out a shadow of a doubt that he's ex trafficking. They're not even gonna prove the RICO thing. Okay? There's nothing Diddy done RICO wise. I mean, they're plastering the RICO charges on anyone and on anything. RICO is a common word that it's the common thing. Charge you with a RICO. Charge you with a RICO. Okay? But they're shocking, awing the jury members to convict Diddy on things that are not considered illegal. They could be considered, are they considered morally wrong? Yeah. Are they considered not the Christian thing to do? Yes. But are they going to charge Diddy with ex trafficking? Have they proved without a shadow of a doubt that he was ex trafficking? No. That he was, cool, with the RICO. Are they going to, have they shown I think we're in day 7 or day 8, that they established why they placed the RICO on Diddy? As of right now, no. All they've been doing is they put Cassie on stand. She's pregnant. She has clearly moved on. But when they asked Cassidy, did Diddy keep you from leaving? No, because Cassidy, throughout their relationship, and it's a 10+ relationship, Cassidy was able to be in and out of Diddy's life. And there have been incidents where Cassidy enjoyed these freak offs. Okay, that's what they're calling them, freak offs. And in certain instances, Cassidy liked doing it. Okay, but just because you like something on Monday, don't necessarily mean you still continue to like it. Here we are on Wednesday. You can easily change your mind, just like you change your mind in doing it. You can change your mind of not doing it. But they haven't even established a timeline where Cassidy said, "Look, I don't want to do this no more," and Diddy said, "No, you're going to continue to do this." They have not even established that. All they have established is Diddy is a freaky freak. He likes his sex very provocative, very freaky. Is out of the norm on what people do inside behind closed doors. And like I said, uh is it morally wrong? Yes. Is it something that's not traditionally what we do? Yes. But has he, done anything illegal, crime wise, where we can convict him just on those incidents? No. He's just a freak. He's just a super freak. All right. So yes, they haven't established his extracurricular activities as being illegal. They have, shock and awed everybody, like I said earlier. Um, but they haven't convinced anyone a timeline where Cassidy was held against her will, where anyone was held against their will, and they forced them to do these things. Now, I do believe Diddy probably pillow talked in Cassie's ear that, hey, if you do these things for me, then I'm gonna make you Mrs. Combs. Okay, I do think that Diddy promised her stuff that he reneged on, and I think if you want to use the excuse, well, the reason why Cassidy did those things was to please Diddy, and she knew if she wanted to stay with Diddy, she would have to do these things. Okay, but did he, put it on her head like, look, either do these things or something seriously going to happen to you? Okay, no, I don't think they established a timeline like that. They have established that Diddy is a freak. Diddy is a person. Diddy has some serious mental issues. Diddy was under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Diddy is not respectable. Diddy, treat women like they're objects. He's a foul individual. But is that a crime? Is it a crime? You have to ask yourself, people, is it a crime that you like your sex differently than the normal person? Is that a crime? I don't think that's a crime. Um, if you want to say that Diddy is a vile person, fine. But does that mean that we should convict him for the rest of his life because he likes his sex weird? He's a weird individual. No. If you want to charge Diddy for domestic violence, I'm all for that. I think he should go to jail or prison for domestic violence. If you want to charge Diddy on narcotics or drug use or uh, you know selling drugs or distributing drugs, I'm fine with that too. I think there are some incidents that could show that, hey, look, Diddy was not only using drugs for his own use, he was also using drugs for other people's uses. He's no different than any other drug dealer on the corner. The only difference is he's Diddy. He's a millionaire, maybe a billionaire. I don't know, a millionaire, and he's not pushing it on the corner, but he is pushing it. If you want to charge Diddy with those crimes, I'm all for it. Okay, but you have to ask yourself, what you have heard in the past 6 or 7 days, does that constitute Diddy should be locked up for the rest of his life? Because if you say yes, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna open a Pandora's box where it could be, this guy. He's good in the community. He's a good dude, but he likes his sex freaky. He likes to go out of state and have freaky sex. And just because he's doing that, he should go to jail for the rest of his life or for at least X amount of years. I don't believe the government, the federal government, the president, you, me, we should monitor people's extracurricular activities inside their own homes behind closed doors. If they're adults and they consent to it, then allow them to be who they want to be. But it's another thing is y'all are cool with it, and then when you go your way, she goes her way. She starts plotting and scheming. Say, you know what? I don't like the way how we ended that relationship. He did me wrong by ending the relationship. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to file a civil suit on him. I do think there should be laws that once adults establish that they want to do freaky activities, they should sign a waiver, okay? Where, you agreeing into this lifestyle, him and y'all are equally responsible for this lifestyle, all right? And if that's what y'all want to do, that's what y'all going to do. But you're not going to, be in a relationship. 3 months later, y'all break up, and then you go get you a lawyer. He go get him an attorney. Y'all waste tax dollars. Y'all waste court time, all because of you didn't like how the relationship ended. I do believe there should be laws in place where, if they're two consenting adults and y'all consent into this type of lifestyle, this type of relationship, that's on you. That's not on us. That's on you. Okay? I do believe that. But if we start saying, you know what, we're going to open up Pandora's box, anybody that has threesomes will be going to jail. Anybody that pays for sex, even though paying for sex is illegal, okay, or we're going to put a bunch of people in prison because they're paying for sex. They're transferring. They're sending OnlyFans models and Instagram models over state lines to have their little activities. And are we going to start doing that? Are we going to start censoring how people should be behind closed doors? That's what ultimately this is going to turn into. Now, and like I said, Diddy, he is guilty of domestic violence. Clearly in the video, he assaulted Cassie. He should be just locked up for that alone. If you want to charge him with weapons, I think they found illegal weapons in his mansion. If you want to charge him for that, fine. If he got illegal weapons in his household and you can tie those illegal weapons to Diddy, then he should go to jail for that. If you want to charge Diddy with drug charges, fine. I'm cool with that. But y'all, they're taking Diddy to court and they're telling you all this other stuff. And it's like they're telling you all this other stuff and you're going to be so lost in the sauce with all the other stuff that's going on that they have shown in court or that you watched on TMZ or Entertainment Tonight or whatever. And you're going to have that in your mind. Meanwhile, while you're having all this stuff in your mind about all the stuff that he did that he's not being charged for, this man's going to court for X trafficking. The federal government hasn't proved that he's X trafficking. All right, or RICO. Okay, if Diddy being charged with a RICO, what about the other people? Because you can't charge one individual. Okay, you're charging Diddy for his lifestyle choice that only benefits Diddy. There have been certain incidents in the timeline where people have consented to these relationships, but you haven't established where Diddy said, no, you're going to continue to do this. You either do this or I'm going to, you're not going to, if Diddy threatened these individuals with their lives or showing tapes or, revenge porn, that's a crime. You want to charge Diddy, that if you can tie Diddy with revenge porn, then fine. Okay. But I don't believe Diddy, at the past 8 days, they haven't really established a timeline of X trafficking or why you're charging him with a RICO. They haven't. Okay. So I'm going to read some of your guys' comments and we're going to continue later on. Okay. You Ain't Ready Part 2 says, you're clearly a freak. Okay. This guy's harboring baby oil. Okay. No, I can't pronounce that. This brother wish he got baby. Okay, all right. Everybody's telling jokes. Everybody got jokes today. Everybody's a comedian. Okay, this comment says, you're using a slippery slope logic. Okay, you should be locked up with him for the rest of your life. Okay. Okay, here's something that Jeffrey said. I hope Jeffrey's here. He said, graping is a crime. Okay, so let me ask you something, Jeffrey. Where in those 7 days, and by the way, he's not being charged for that. Okay, let's get that on out the way. That's not on the docket. Okay, they're not accusing Diddy of grape. So Jeffrey, where in any of those proceedings for the past 7 or 8 days where you can say, oh, clearly, okay, Cassidy said that, clearly there's a timeline where Cassidy was raped by Diddy. Because when she did her testimony, she encouraged a lot of this activity that Diddy liked. And I do believe that Diddy did coerce her into thinking this way because she was thinking, okay, if I promote this behavior that Diddy likes, then he's going to marry me. I'm going to get half of the fortune. I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to be, Diddy promised her a lot of stuff. And Cassidy the artist, let's talk about Cassidy the artist. I felt like Cassidy could have been another Aaliyah. She had that one hit song, Me and You, and then after that song, she just disappeared. Like, Diddy was supposed to work on her. Diddy was supposed to make her this superstar, but that relationship evolved into this sexual relationship, and that put the singing career on the back burner, and then eventually they just took it off the stove. If Diddy would have just continued to produce her or put her with someone that, so she can continue to have a music career, I think Cassidy would be like a Aaliyah or at least Sierra. She had the beauty. She was very attractive. She was a decent singer. You put you put her behind some producers, she could have had more than that one hit song. The music world is going to idolize her as a one hit wonder, and she's clearly not a one hit wonder. I just felt like she was so into Diddy, and she wanted to satisfy Diddy, and she just stopped, being concerned about what she needed to do. She was more concerned about how to please Diddy. And, I think Diddy robbed her of that because Diddy promised her some things that, just didn't materialize. Okay. Uh, Let me see. Diddy's been, okay. I can't say that. No, he's a criminal. See, I agree with you. Diddy is a criminal. But Diddy is not a criminal under those charges. If you want to convict Diddy as domestic violence, then he's a criminal for domestic violence. Because that video, without a shadow of a doubt, proved that he was very abusive, he was very controlling, and that video proves that there was some domestic violence going on. Okay, if you want to charge Diddy for that, I'm fine with all that. If you want to charge Diddy for having illegal drugs or illegal weapons, then I'm cool with that too. All right. But people don't realize RICO is normally for mob bosses, for criminal enterprises. They're using the Bad Boy Entertainment as a criminal enterprise. Okay, during all those 8 days, they didn't even prove how Bad Boy Entertainment is this criminal enterprise. Now, they may had the figurehead of Bad Boy Entertainment, which was Sean Diddy Combs. If you want to call him a criminal for the things I just mentioned, then yes, he was a criminal that owned Bad Boy Records or Bad Boy Entertainment. But Bad Boy Entertainment was not a criminal enterprise. They just was owned by someone who committed crimes of domestic violence, of illegal drugs, illegal weapons. Okay, but you can't charge Bad Boy Entertainment because the figurehead is a criminal. Okay, two things can coexist. You can have a very successful business, but you have someone running the business that have committed crimes. But that has nothing to do with the business. Okay? So two things could be true. So that's what the government is saying. That Bad Boy Entertainment, since he owns Bad Boy Entertainment is this criminal enterprise. And all I'm telling you folks is, what have they said? What evidence have you seen that proves without a shadow of a doubt that Diddy is this big time mob boss, that he ran a criminal enterprise, and he got a lot of people up out the paint? He had a lot of people doing things that they didn't want to do. Okay, now I think it was yesterday. There was someone that used to work for Diddy, and then they said, working for Diddy, you had to please the king. If you did not please the king, you're no longer working there. Okay, and if you want to say, okay, he had an ego. Okay, cool. He had an ego. All right. If you want to say that he was toxic, yes, he was toxic. Okay. But those things I just mentioned, that's not a criminal crime. Being toxic, being an egomaniac, being very controlling. Okay. Um, I'm sorry, folks. There's no crime that says that, okay, if you're this type of person, then you should go to jail. No, you know, your image should be hurt, your name should be ruined, because who would want to work with somebody that has those labels on them? Okay, but to me, what I've seen so far is that Diddy is Diddy is a lot of things. He's a liar. Diddy is very controlling. Diddy is very toxic. Diddy he's domestic violence should be on Diddy's jacket. You know, illegal drugs, illegal weapons found in your mansion, you should be charged for that as well. But but as far as he likes his sex weird, and at at a certain timeline, Cassidy was okay with this. Now I'm pretty sure as it later on in the later years of their relationship, when she figured it out and she put two and two together, like, look, Diddy is not going to marry me. Diddy's not going to put a baby in me. Okay? So I don't want to do this no more. Or she probably woke up one morning and said, you know what? This is wrong. I don't want to do this no more. Okay? She has left Diddy countless times. All right? Countless times. So this is different than R. Kelly. This is extremely different than R. Kelly. I think these two people, they did pretty much the same thing, but it's different in some shape or form. Okay, so yeah, you want to call Diddy this foul individual? I'm cool with that. But what they have shown is really nothing. Now I want to get on the Justin Bieber comment. Um, Billy Bob said, "What's wrong with Diddy? Did he do something to Justin Bieber?" I read an article a couple of days ago. Justin Bieber sold his music catalog, and they're saying Justin Bieber is hemorrhaging money. And the reason why Justin Bieber is hemorrhaging money is because, and this happens to a lot of artists. They have a bunch of hanger owners, their entourage, and then they feel like, look, I'm doing it big. I'm making a lot of money. I'm very successful. These are my friends. I'm going to take care of them. Okay. But they don't bring nothing to the table to Justin Bieber. It'd be one thing if you're taking care of people that's making your portfolio better, that's, probably, putting you in other things like businesses and things of that nature. You want to take care of them because they got a business mind or they got a financial mind or whatever. But no, you're taking care of these people because they're there. And they're saying that he's hemorrhaging money bad. He sold his catalog for like $300 million. $300 million is a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to you. But to Justin Bieber, that's just a drop in the bucket. Justin Bieber should get back on the road, do or go to those Las Vegas things, those Embassy tours. 50 Cent did one. I forgot what they call those tours in Las Vegas. Work out some deal with some casino and do private tours, shows with them. He can make a lot of bank, okay? Or just put out some music. It's been a while since Justin Bieber put out some music, you know, or get into some other things, okay? But all Justin Bieber do just wake up, hang with his friends, and go to bed. He doesn't do anything else, okay? So yeah, they saying Justin Bieber is just hemorrhaging money left to right. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But and I appreciate everyone that came in, that hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't hit the notification bell, please hit the notification bell. I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers. If you appreciate the content, if you appreciate the work that I do, if you're Don Squad, okay, salute. Please hook a brother up. Membership. If you want to hit the join membership button, you can do that, but that's optional. I really do appreciate everyone that done came by and did those things, that done commented. I read pretty much everyone's comments that I was able to read. But yeah, but back to I'm not saying Diddy is innocent. Diddy is guilty. Oh yeah, Diddy is guilty. But the government has not established a timeline on why you put a RICO on Diddy. They haven't shown a timeline on the trafficking charges. And those are going to be tough things for them to prove as this thing moves on. And I think this thing is going to last for like what, 6 weeks, 3 weeks, something. I think 6 weeks. I think they're already in almost going into week 2. And they proved a lot of other things, that Diddy is not a good person, that Diddy is Diddy domestic violence on Cassie. They proved that. But see, those are things that are not, they're not charging him for that. Okay. And I don't know why they're not charging him for that. I'm pretty sure there's a reasonable explanation for that. But they're shocking and awing us, and they're shocking and awing the jurors. And the jurors are hearing all this stuff about Diddy. Oh, Diddy is not a nice person. Oh, we saw the video. Diddy clearly kicked that girl. He obviously he practiced domestic violence on Cassidy. There's been people that's been witnesses and assistants, and people are gonna form their conclusion like, oh, this is not a good person. Okay, you cannot. Okay, look, you can be. Okay, fall back. You can be a bad person, and you can be a bad person, but being a bad person isn't a crime. You're not obligated to be a good person. You're obligated to be the very best person you can be. If it happens to be a good person or it happens to be a bad person. Now, you want to accuse him of not being a good person, I'm cool with that. If you feel like he's a bad person, I'm cool with that as well. But and if you want to, label him, okay, he beat up Cassidy, I'm for that too. But the trafficking and the RICO, they haven't established a timeline where, okay, why are y'all, okay, those are the serious charges. Either way, Diddy's going to go to jail. He's going to prison. Okay? If it's not for the rest of his life, he's probably going to go to prison for, 4 to 10 years. Okay? Diddy's going to go to jail for something. There's going to be a charge they're going to stick on him that he's not going to wiggle out of. Okay? I don't know if you can add charges or, maybe charge him later. I think if they don't get him on the RICO, if they don't get him on the trafficking, then they're going to charge him again for the domestic violence. They're going to charge him. They're going to charge him for the illegal drugs, or maybe that's a separate proceeding, or the legal weapons. He's going to go to jail. He's not going to get out in the next 3 or 4 years. He can't buy himself out of that. Diddy is going to jail for a pretty substantial time. I think Diddy's like, what, 60 or 50 or 60? Even if Diddy, let's just say Diddy goes to jail for 10 years. 10 years is a lifetime for Diddy. 10 when you're young, 10 years probably it's a lot of time, but then you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm young. When I get out of jail, I'm gonna be in my late 30s, early 40s. Life ain't really over for me yet. For Diddy, if Diddy does 10 years, that's a wrap for Diddy. That's a Riz wrap for Diddy. Okay? And that's the least amount of time I feel like he's going to get. If they establish a timeline with the trafficking and the RICO, Diddy is not going to, he's never going to be a free man again. He's probably going to die in prison. Okay? So, and a lot of people say, I don't know if this is true or not, they're saying that the government offered him a plea deal and he rejected it. Look at it this way. If they give you a plea, like if they wanted you to plea out and they say, okay, under this plea deal, you got to at least do 8 years. And you're going to be on probation for the next 30 years. That's a win-win. If you're Diddy, that's a win-win. If you have to go to jail for 5 years, and let's just say they say 6 years. And but these are federal crimes. You got to do all that time. Let's just say he does the 6 years and he's under probation for like 20 years. He would have to completely change who he is. He can't get into these illegal activities like or like drugs and drugs and weapons and things of that nature. So yeah. And yesterday, Kid Cudi testified. That was not a good look for Diddy. They're smearing Diddy's, and I shouldn't say smearing because smearing sounds like Diddy's innocent. But they are putting a bunch of stuff out there in the atmosphere to indicate that Diddy is not a good person. And yes, Diddy isn't a good person, but are y'all gonna lock up Diddy because he's not a good person? Or are y'all gonna lock him up for domestic violence? Or y'all gonna lock him up for having illegal drugs in his home? Or y'all gonna lock Diddy up for illegal weapons? Okay? You know, they haven't shown any timeline of the trafficking charges or the RICO. Now they had a bunch of strippers and mock corn stars on the stand, and a lot of them are saying, "Hey, look, Cassidy was the one want." They talked to Cassidy. Now, I do believe Diddy probably coerced Cassie into establishing a communication line with these male corn stars. And Cassie in the beginning was doing it, or probably during the whole relationship was doing it only to satisfy Diddy because she wanted to have Diddy's last name. She wanted to have Diddy's kid because she knew that Diddy being married to Diddy, you're gonna be taken care of. Okay. And maybe she thought in the beginning, and she thought probably naive, like, hey, if I do these things for him, he's going to take care of me later on down the road. Okay. And she thought she was, she thought that she was not going to be replaced. And, while Diddy was having his way with her, Diddy was involved with other women as well. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Like I said, this is the early stages of it. Maybe later on, like next week or 3 weeks down the road, the government shows us a timeline on why they charge him with the RICO, and they got evidence tying him to the RICO. Maybe they later on down the road they show the X trafficking, why they're and the funny thing about the X trafficking, why they're not charging Cassidy? Because Cassidy was hooking up these freak offs with her. Now, yes, one could assume that she was doing it to satisfy Diddy, and one could assume that Diddy probably was coercing her into doing it, even though we don't have proof of what we're saying, but we could assume that that's pretty much what happened. Okay, so yeah, maybe they show a timeline, but that's all I got for it. All I'm saying is we're heading down, we're opening up Pandora's box, and we're heading down a slippery slope where, especially if it stays like it is, the government's going to have a hard time proving the X trafficking and the RICO. And I do feel like even though if this was a boxing match, we're in the fourth round, and Diddy's team has thrown a bunch of jabs, some solid punches. The government, the United States that's charging Diddy, they have landed a couple of punches, a couple of uppercuts that Diddy has stood the test of time with, but neither of the parties delivered a knockout punch where, okay, in this round, Diddy team won, and on this round, they won. Okay, it's been, patting, hitting each other back and forth, just, stat patting the punch count, but there haven't been no testimony that says, "Oh yeah, that killed Diddy right there," or "Oh yeah, Diddy's innocent because they shown this." So we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out later on. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you for coming to the live stream. I will see you guys in the next live stream. I'm gonna try to do another live stream sometime this week. I don't know. Be sure to check out my podcast on Spotify, iTunes. Too early for this ish podcast. Go check it out. I'm about to record an episode as soon as I get off from here. Guys, I'll see you guys. Really do appreciate everyone coming by. Peace. Don Squad in the house. Salute. All right, I'll talk to you.